Are you ready to upgrade your trailing arms? Well, SuperATV's got you covered with our trailing arms that are made with 1/8 inch heavy-duty steel plating, internal and external gussets, a lifetime warranty, and a super easy installation. So let me show you how it's done. The first thing you're going to want to do is remove your rear wheel and tire. We've already done this, so we're going to jump right in and go ahead and remove the cotter pin out of the castle nut for the axle. Let's go ahead and remove it. We'll go ahead and remove our castle nut here. And we're going to go ahead and remove the brake caliper as well. We'll just lay it over here out of the way. We'll go ahead and grab the hub. Remove it. Then we're going to go ahead and remove all 3 of our radius arms from our trailing arm. We've already got our hardware loosened up here, so we're just going to go ahead and remove the hardware. I like to remove my bolts. As soon as I get them removed, just go ahead and stick the bolt right back through the radius arm. That way we know which bolt goes to which and we don't lose our bushings that way. After we have our radius arms disconnected from our trailing arm, we want to go ahead and get the axle removed from the transmission. We don't want to let our axle hang, so we'll just plunge it in a little bit and pull straight out on it. You never want to let your axle hang, because whenever it hangs down, it creases that boot. After it's creased that boot, it's prone to rip, tear. It's just going to cause too many issues, so we go ahead and we remove the axle every time. So we've got our radius arms disconnected. We'll go ahead and remove our knuckle here. All it was holding it in was this long bolt. We'll set it aside as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect our brake line. We've already drilled the rivets out on our factory trailing arm. If you haven't, you'll need to go through and do that. We have bolts and a zip tie holding our brake line on. So we'll just go ahead and remove our bolt here. And like I said, if you do, or if you have never removed your trailing arms, you'll have to drill the rivets out. We'll go ahead and remove that bolt. And we're just going to take our caliper and we're just going to tuck it up out of the way. Sit right up here on top of the transmission. That'll be fine, just as long as it's not going to fall, hit anything. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the shock as well as the sway bar. The sway bar, you need to be disconnected from both sides before you try to remove it from one. We already have it disconnected on the opposite side. We already have our hardware loosened, so we're going to go ahead and remove the hardware from the shock as well as sway bar linkage. So now we have our shock and our sway bar link disconnected. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and tie this shock up out of the way. You can do it without moving it out of the way. It just makes it a little bit easier on you. So we've got that flipped up out of the way. We're just going to flip our sway bar link up. We're going to go ahead and have to remove it. So you can go ahead and remove it at this time from the trailing arm, or you can remove it from the sway bar, but you're not going to be reusing your factory sway bar link. So we got it removed. Then you're just going to disconnect the bolt that attaches the trailing arm to the frame of the machine. We've already got our hardware loosened, so we're just going to pick up on the trailing arm. Wiggle the bolt free, then remove our factory trailing arm, set it aside, and get ready to put our new SuperATV one on. So now we've got our new trailing arm out of the box. We've went ahead and cut the zip tie off of the bushings up here where it attaches to the frame. We're just going to go ahead and slide it into the factory position and use the factory hardware to secure it to the machine. Make sure that your bushings are lined up. We'll grab your bolt, line it up, slide it through, and then we're going to let the trailing arm lay down. And we'll go ahead and we'll get our hardware started here. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our sway bar link. We've already removed our top bushings just so they don't fall out. We're just going to slide it right down into this first position here on the trailing arm. Get the bolt in there. We'll go ahead and get our hardware started here as well. There's no need to fully tighten anything just yet. We're going to disconnect our shock from where we had it tied up. And we're just going to lift our trailing arm up into position. We'll go ahead and we'll get our bolt ready here. That way, whenever we get it up here, we can just slide it right into place. Bolt in there. Go ahead and get the hardware started for that as well. All right, now we're going to grab our knuckle. And I like to take the lower bolt in the lower mounting position for the knuckle. Just kind of slide your hardware in there. That way the knuckle is somewhat in place. We can also go up here to the top. We can grab our hardware for it as well and do kind of the same thing, just to make sure you don't lose any bushings. So all we've done here is we've just got our bolts slid through the upper and lower portion of the knuckle. And now we're going to go ahead and grab our axle and we'll get it reinstalled. I'm just going to grab this caliper and hang it over the trailing arm now. The axle is good and in there. We'll pull the trailing arm out, slide the axle into place just like that. We'll come up here to our upper mounting position for our radius arm and get it lined up. And we are using SuperATV's heavy duty billet aluminum radius arms today. These can be picked up from SuperATV.com. There we go. Got that one in. Now we're going to grab our middle radius arm. Slide it right here onto the knuckle. I like to kind of get the bolt through there just enough to get my nut started. We'll grab this lower radius arm. And again, you want to make sure that you don't lose any bushings. We dropped one out. Grab it, pull the trailing arm out, where we can get the radius arm to line up. Just like that. We'll grab our nuts. Now what we're going to do is we'll grab our top two bushings and we'll go ahead and install them. And we'll grab our sway bar, drop it down. We'll get it all lined up. We'll take our bolt, slide it through, and put our nut on the back side. Next, we'll go ahead and grab our hub. We'll reinstall it to our axle here. Just have to kind of pick up as you're putting it on. We'll grab our castle nut and our spacer. Go ahead and throw that on there. I like to get it hand tight, that way it pulls that axle all the way up to where it's going to be. And we'll grab our brake caliper here. Go ahead and get it installed onto the rotor. Then we'll go ahead and we'll grab our brake line clips that are going to be provided in the kit with the trailing arm. Now we already have them installed because this machine's actually had these trailing arms on them before. But all you're gonna wanna do is just take your brake line clip and just slide it right over the brake line. Nothing to it. And on this one, on the X3, it kind of has a weird bend back here on how the brake line's routed, but that's how your first clip should look. You should have a little bit of a bend in your line here, coming up here, and then we'll continue to run it down the trailing arm and connect it at all of the tapped holes in the trailing arm. Go ahead and fully tighten all your hardware, reinstall your tire, and then repeat all these steps for the opposite side. And that's how super quick and easy it is to install SuperATV's heavy-duty trailing arms on this Can-Am Maverick X3. For more information on these trailing arms or any of SuperATV's great products, feel free to give us a call at 855-743-3427 or check us out online at superatv.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.